Apropos of our conversation about the multimillionaire governor of Illinois trying to destroy the unions that might represent a political threat to him. I mean, this once again, this is, as Henry Wallace said on April 9th, 1944 in the New York Times, Vice President Henry Wallace, they own the marketplace. They control the marketplace. Now they're reaching out to control government because government sets the rules of the marketplace so that they can be independent of any external authority. Nobody can regulate them. They will have all the power in the United States. No more government, no more unions to protect working people or average people, just the oligarchs. This latest is John McCain. John McCain has come out and he said, right now there's this law called the Jones Act that dates back to 1920 that says if a ship visits more than 2 U.S. ports, it must be a U.S. flagged ship. It must be owned by Americans, and it must be staffed by Americans. John McCain wants to make it so that it could be owned by Panamanians or South Koreans or communist Chinese, and it could be staffed by Filipinos or communist Chinese or whatever. And I mean, there is a national security aspect to this. There is appropriate wages aspect to this. There is the being to make sure that things are being handled properly, because a lot of the stuff that comes in is food to this. I don't get, I get it that these foreign shipping companies make big contributions to legislators, and I get it that John McCain, as do most, virtually all the Republicans and many of the Democrats, take money indirectly from foreign governments and foreign interests. I get that, particularly Chinese interests, and money funneled through all the big corporations that have moved all their work over to China. What I don't get is why John McCain hates America. I just don't get it. So let's ask a guy who I think is in bed with John McCain on this. Neil McCabe, conservative columnist, townhall.com, editor of the Washington Mercury news site, thewashingtonmercury.com. Neil, welcome back.
Tom, it's like waiting to come on. It was so mind-boggling. I kept wanting to argue with your left-wing newscaster there.
Oh, I was the left-wing newscaster. So, Neil, why do you hate America?
Well, if I hate John McCain, does that mean I love America because John McCain hates America?
No, this would be about policies. I believe that you agree with John McCain that we should do away with the Jones Act, right?
Yeah, the Jones Act is basically feudalism, and there's no reason to have it.
It's not feudalism; it's protectionism.
Well, I mean, that's what I call feudalism. And you forgot another aspect. The ships actually have to be built in America, which means that these ships cost 3 to 4 times what they would cost if they were built in foreign shipyards.
Which means we maintain a domestic shipbuilding industry. What's wrong with that?
Why do we have one? Why do we need one?
Because someday we may... Do you remember World War II? I mean, I realize you weren't around for it, neither was I.
I remember when people were screaming and yelling that the world was going to end because Zenith was the last company in America making TVs. And it turned out American capital had given up on making TVs because they were making computers and cell phones and other things. Capital moves on.
No, we gave up making TVs because we did away with our tariff-based trade structure, and countries that had cheap labor and no regulations, particularly, were making cheaper TVs.
Is if a group of gangsters or criminals call themselves a union, they can basically steal and manipulate and bully and do whatever they want.
That's not true. Unions are very, very heavily regulated. And what does this have to do with unions? Why, the Jones Act simply says you have to have American employees.
It's the unions and the American shippers who have formed a cabal to fight this on the Jones Act. And the Jones Act, look at the practical thing that the Jones Act does. Last winter, when the state of New Jersey ran out of road salt, there was a ship with like 400 tons of road salt sitting in Maine, and the Department of Homeland Security forbade that ship from going from Maine to New Jersey to relieve the highways there because of the Jones Act. Now, that's a fact.
Because it was a foreign-owned ship. Why should we be, if we need salt for our roads, why should we be giving the profits to foreign companies?
I have to get in an accident to protect the people who benefit from the Jones Act?
No.
Why, Tom?
No.
What if
Better
someone's
bet.
killed?
No. You are mixing apples and oranges, Neil, and you know it.
I'm not.
The
It's the
fact that
Jones
Chris
Act that
Christie
did it.
had failed to plan for a snowstorm coming to New Jersey and had failed to organize
Tom.
enough salt in
So-
advance, and that there just happened to be a foreign ship off the coast of Maine, which was probably a Canadian ship, I would guess, is irrelevant to this. You talk about the unions.
so you just
Longshoremen.
fold your arms-
Let me just
fold your
ask you this
arms and say,
question.
Let them die.
I beg your pardon?
I mean, you just fold your arms and say, so what? We'll just let New Jersey suffer? Because
Well, if
somebody
that's
didn't
the
order
decision
enough
that Chris
salt?
Christie
They got what
made,
was
yeah.
coming to them?
If people are stupid enough to vote for Chris Christie,
Sure.
and so they end up with a
Even though the
governor who
salt
doesn't know how to get
rise-
rock salt on his roads when a storm is coming,
salt
yeah, then
would've taken 2
that's
days.
elections have consequences.
It would have taken 2 days, Tom, to relieve the situation in New Jersey.
It would have taken years to get rid of Chris Christie.
All right. Well, let's go back to let's
talk about the
Jones Act.
Longshoremen's Union, because you're saying
Sure,
that the
go ahead,
unions
please.
are in an unholy alliance with the American shipbuilding companies and the American shipping companies. Longshoremen, and you can check this yourself over at payscale.com. They have basically the pay rates for virtually everybody in the
$150,000
country.
a year.
They start
get
in the first 5 years. Longshoremen start at $50,000 a year.
Not
By
bad.
10 years into their career, they're making, now this includes tips, bonuses, and overtime, because they make
And
pretty
you're
good
not
money on
counting
overtime.
those, Tom.
By the 10th
You're
year
not
in their
counting
career,
those.
they're making $60,000 a year. Actually, it's 58. By the 20th year in their career, they're making $70,000 a year. And after 20 years, late in their career, by 25 or 30 years, many longshoremen are making as much as $85,000 a year. Why do you think it's wrong that people who are working their asses off in some of the most miserable there in a very dangerous job are paid well enough that they can afford to put their kids through college, have a decent retirement, maybe take a vacation once a year? Why do you object to that?
Well, you also forgot, Tom, the $35,000 health plan that they get, where they pay zero premiums, $1 prescription drugs, and I think the University of Chicago called it the best plan in America.
And why do you object to that? Shouldn't that be available to every American?
That's fine, Tom, but let's just open that job to everybody else. I'm sure there's a lot of people who would compete for those jobs, and that might drive those wages down a little lower to make products cheaper. And let's not forget that on the West Coast, that we're in the middle of a 14-week slowdown because...
Neil, you haven't answered my question. What's wrong with the hardworking person making $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 a year after 25 years at the same really tough job? What's wrong with them having that kind of wage and having a decent health package? I don't understand why you're complaining about these people when the billionaires who own these companies, you're not saying a word about.
I don't begrudge their wage. Tom.
Sure you do.
About fairly, if they didn't have the government thumb on the scale.
They have the union thumb on the scale. Unions are the only power. Governments and unions are the only powers that can stand up to the billionaires who own these shipping companies.
Carry water for the... You don't think the federal government leans on people to help the unions?
So you would rather that the country of China be profiting from shipping on U.S. shores. You would rather that Chinese workers be making the money rather than American workers. And all of this in the name of, gee, we might get goods a little cheaper. I don't think we will. I think the CEOs of these companies
I think we will
simply
get goods a little cheaper.
No, look at Walmart. The 5 Walmart heirs have more wealth than the bottom half of America. It's
You're
not
in the
because
middle of a 14-week slowdown, Tom. I don't mean to speak over you, but we are in the middle of a 14-week slowdown in Long Beach and on the West Coast by these longshoremen that has a direct effect on our economy. And it's the same thing we've talked about before. You have a small group of people who basically have the American economy by the throat.
Right. We call them oligarchs. We call them billionaires. We call them business owners.
They they do very well, Tom. They do better than the guy who graduates from high school and has to pump gas while paying taxes to pay for some rich kid's student loan.
Okay, so I'm with the workers, you're with the oligarchs. Is that it, Neil?
I'm with the oligarch workers, maybe.
Okay, all right. Neil McCabe, the website, The Washington Mercury, and, of course, townhall.com. Thank you, Neil.
Great to be with you, Tom. Take care.
Thanks.
This is the Thom Hartmann Program.